Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the West Goshen Township Board of Supervisors meeting for December 3rd, 2024. We will begin tonight's meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you could please rise.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Couple of announcements before we get started, that this meeting may be audio and video recorded by third parties. We're also streaming live on our Township YouTube channel, and there are extra copies of the agenda at the back of the room if anybody needs a copy of the agenda for tonight. And with that, we're going to move into item number 3, which is public comment. If anybody in attendance tonight wants to make a public comment or ask a question regarding something that is not on tonight's agenda, now is your opportunity to do so. Mr. DePrisco.
Thank you. Sal DePrisco, West Goshen property owner. Madam Chair, I'm here today. I'll be very brief. 2 weeks ago, I guess it was 2 weeks ago, on the 19th, I guess it was of November, we started off the meeting with an apology, and which we greatly appreciate, for the conduct from the meeting from the prior, which was, I guess, November 7th. We felt it was sincere. The West Goshen Watchdog Group, which was addressed to it, accepted it, and also reached out to us individually, and we found that gracious, and we accepted that as well. During that meeting on the 19th, pardon me, on the 7th, though, we did walk out because we were somewhat offended, and we found out at the end of that meeting there was also a public apology made, but it was more along the lines that the conduct was inspired, if not anything else, by lies that the West Goshen Watchdog Group were perpetuated during the meeting. Upon finding that out, the group, through Mr. Golden is here, through Mr. Golden, sent a letter to the board, specifically asking to retract that statement because it was unfounded. And the only thing we did in that meeting was feed the board the numbers from the township. Last meeting, we discussed this a little bit. I gave the opportunity, or cited that particular letter, and wanted to know whether or not a retraction would be forthcoming. So once again today, will there be a retraction forthcoming, clearly suggesting that we did not do anything other than report the specific numbers from the township, and there were no lies that were perpetuated. Will there be a retraction or not? Okay. It was a close-ended question. I take that as a no, and thank you very much for your time, Madam Chair.
Thank you for your comment. Are there any other comments? Yes, Mr. Golden.
It's brief from my phone tonight. Charlie Golden, West Goshen Budget Watchdogs. Good evening, board. I understand that 3 minutes is insufficient tonight to thoroughly address our budget concerns. At the next meeting, it's probably just too late. Therefore, I'll keep my opinions brief and at a higher level tonight. I'm requesting the board, led by progressive ideology, to halt all spending on the Green New Deal and instead focus solely on township necessities. Despite the general fund balance being around 100%, the board claims it still does not have enough funds. Storm sewer repair report is now 2 years old, and at this point, I cannot find the spending plan on the capital budget for the $45 million stretching over the 30 to 50 years. It appears to be an expected emergency each year. Stop purchasing EVs. No emergency response vehicle, including maintenance, should be tied to an electrical cord, placing us all at risk. The EV trials so far are showing that that they may not be suitable for the intended purpose. A good question is now, who is primarily driving the first 2 EVs? Third point, stop buying ChargePoint EV charging stations, allowing ChargePoint to profit off of a public installation. Make ChargePoint invest in a free market. All government officials should appreciate this, and I'm not going to go on. Last one, stop spending just to spend and support higher taxes just to tax. For example, stop the Chester County Services Building Basin project. Limiting public discussion to our most important responsibility, the annual budget, to a couple of hours is wrong. Other townships do much better. We are to understand that if items pass in this budget review, it becomes policy for next year and does not require reapproval, even for bad ideas. So next year appears to me that it's mostly theater. I believe there are structural issues with the board's budget process, shortest public time frame possible, low represented cost for some of the capital equipment, limited and confrontational public discussion, and no time for changes to fix any errors. All these items give me the impression that the board may have a so what attitude. None of our residents have the same luxury with their own budgets as you have. And one last thing. I mentioned this in a prior meeting. The October 15th meeting minutes do not correctly reflect my public comments, as I brought to your attention before, and it's not even close. Those notes require major correction. I'd appreciate it if they were corrected. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comment. If you want to send any corrections to the meeting minutes, you can send them to me and to the township manager, and I'm happy to look at that.
Thank you. I will.
Can I respond to that? A couple of those items, Mr. Gold, I just respond on a couple of the items you talked about. Talking about not pursuing a Green New Deal agenda, but I don't quite understand what that means. Is that a political ideology you're trying to throw out here? I mean, we're talking about things for the benefit of our community and for our residents. As far as going for the EV electrification of our fleet, we're doing it for the police department in a very judicious manner. We're not doing it whole hog. We're doing it one vehicle at a time as it is appropriate. And if the EVs are not compatible for a particular use, they're not being used for that. But in other instances, they are. And we've done extensive amount of work and research in finding that EVs are, in the long run, more energy efficient, and also they are economically more efficient as well for the township. So we're saving money. So that's our purpose here, is to save money for our residents. And so as far as stopping the EV chargers, well, if you're going to electrify a fleet over time, you're going to have to buy chargers over time in order to supply them with the electricity to be charged. That's just the way that works. As far as stop spending on all those projects related to stormwater, these are projects which residents within the township of West Goshen have come to us and said, when it rains with these 100-year storms, which we seem to be having more and more frequently now, my street's getting flooded out, my basement's getting flooded out. Are we supposed to ignore that? I don't think so. I think that's not the right way to spend the monies that we collect with taxes for the greater good of our community. And we will continue to do what we feel is the best for our community. So that's my feeling about yours.
Mr. Gold, now I'm going to give you one last very quick opportunity, okay, to respond to that since you're up there.
All right. So I'm glad this is on video, John. I think you misinterpreted some of the things I said. I'm not saying stop spending on stormwater. I'm saying after 2 years.
You just did say it, Charlie.
I'm saying after 2 years, you don't have a plan, year-by-year plan on how much of those storm sewers you're going to repair. So it appears to me that your approach is, we'll wait till it becomes an emergency, and that's why you need the extra general fund balance. I would like to see, like any engineering company would do, put together what years you're going to spend that $45 million and start to spend it. I think you should have $1.5 million in this year's budget to replace $1.5 million of storm sewer. You pick which of the 16 neighborhoods and get started on it. It's been 2 years.
Thank you, Mr.
I think it's time to get started.
Thank
And
you
with
for your
regard to electric vehicle replacing the entire fleet for West Goshen, I can't think of a worse idea. How many electric vehicle police cars are we going to buy next year? Maybe there's 2 on the docket. I can't tell the way it's written. You're going to buy 2 electric vehicle cars for police who have already given you their negative feedback some people don't even fit in them, you're gonna give them negative, they're giving you negative feedback, and if we approve this budget this year, and it is policy for next year, giving you the full right to do what was approved this year without any further discussion, then we're gonna end up with 2 police vehicles, electric vehicles, that very potentially aren't gonna work for this community. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Is there any other public comment? Yes, Ms. Ward.
Hi, good evening, Margie Swart. This is my 10th year of budget go-round. For 10 years, just been trying to encourage transparency in the budget itself and transparency in the process. And I stand here 10 years later, still disappointed that I feel this is a budget that is very difficult to see what's in it. The public was not provided the opportunity to engage in the formation and the real nuts and bolts of the budget. 10 years that I've been here trying to understand it and see where our $16 to $20 million are spent every year. Never heard discussion about employee benefits. Where can we save? What are the costs? What are the offerings? Are all the employees on the same plan, or do they get to choose? Some, if they
I've answered that question before. They're all on the same plan.
Is that the most cost efficient and effective route?
Yes.
Okay. Will there be audio and visual improvements for Zoom capabilities to encourage remote participation in public meetings? Are those improvements included in next year's budget?
No.
So we're still going to just use the camera and no participation from those that are watching remotely. Seems that we're getting more traffic and more interest than we have in recent years. And I think it's a shame. I think we're missing an opportunity that we don't open up these meetings for remote participation. I can participate in the county's meetings. Many other neighboring municipalities, much smaller budget, they have a much better system, and I've requested that before, and when I see all the expenses, I just think it's a shame that you won't better those capabilities.
Margie, I'm happy to meet with you in the new year. If you have some direction or some guidance as to that, I'm happy to meet with you. We can talk about doing that. Maybe you can give me some data from what the other townships are doing. I'm happy to talk about it.
Or just, great, thank you, I appreciate that. Just look at, in the meantime though, just dial in and watch a county commissioners meeting or an East Goshen meeting or a West Whiteland meeting. And it's just very user-friendly and citizen-friendly, and I think you'll be impressed with what they offer. I know we had a Citizens Transparency website for a number of years. It was quite helpful. I personally, in fact, discovered payroll abuse that was not approved. The previous township manager was reprimanded for that, and sad to see that the township decided that that was no longer a worthwhile expense to have a transparency software program available to the public. It would be nice if that were also included in next year's budget. It brings me no pleasure to file right-to-know requests, but that's how I have to get information, and government should be transparent. A lot of this information should just be a simple click on the township website, and it's not there. We can do better. I know you all can do better. Speaking of our previous township manager, I see that he is now employed with HRG, one of our professional services provider. I don't think it's fair to our current township manager that we continue to do business with HRG, or I don't think the township should continue to do business with HRG for the simple fact that they have employed our previous township manager. I have read his deposition from the Dave Woodward lawsuit. He has very unflattering things to say about certain people, and I would hope that come the first of the year, that strong consideration be taken into whether we're going to re-engage HRG for their services. This meeting last year, the first meeting in December, there was an agenda item. We had continued discussion regarding next year's budget. I was very sad to see, disappointed to see that tonight's agenda does not have continued discussion on this $20 million budget. Gives us no opportunity, which is one of the reasons I need to stand here longer than I know you'd like for me to stand here, but it's not an agenda item, and I think it's a worthwhile discussion to have. It's probably the most important decision you make all year long. I didn't hear any input from Mr. Wallman and Ms. Gagne, very little. Mr. Hellman, I know Ms. Smith, Mr. Walsh were involved in the formations more so, but where do my elected officials stand on some of these expenses? There's no way to know, and so I'm sorry again. I encourage transparency. That's been my mantra now for a long time. Baby steps, but in 10 years, we should be farther along in this.
I'm going to give you one more minute, Margie.
Okay. Again, you know, I've gotten to know a couple of residents that have really taken the lead on the formation of a budget watchdog group. And it's hard to be watchdogs, if you will, when we don't have access to the information. My suggestion to them recently was maybe we need to rebrand ourselves and just be the Citizens for Government Efficiency, and start off the beginning of the year. Since the budget is thoroughly a done deal, we don't have the opportunity to contribute to the discussions of the formation of that budget, that maybe we ought to just pivot a little bit and look at how we can make this government more efficient. Unfortunately, I do stand here a little bit vindicated. For 10 years, I've been saying, I know there's fraud, I know there's waste, I know there's abuse. The last year and a half have been very difficult, but the township has uncovered fraud, uncovered waste. Sadly, with the arrest of our detective 2 weeks ago, it's a sad time for this township, and I knew it was there. There was a reason why this township came after me. I'm not the problem. The citizens that are here are not the problem. You need to look within. There's 100 employees. I'm sure 90 of them are good, honest, hardworking, deserve good pay, deserve good benefits, but there's always 10% of employees that need to be gone, and that's where your efforts need to be
I appreciate your comment, Margie. I do.
directed. Thank you.
I'm always here for you to reach out to. Same with any resident. So if there's any time you want to meet in the new year to discuss the budget, I'm more than happy to.
Thank you for giving me the extra time. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. Any other public comment? Yes, Mr. Goldberg.
I would just like to thank our Board of Supervisors for making the responsible and very necessary investments required to put our community on the leading edge of the fight against the global crisis that is climate change. Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you, Mr. Goldberg. Any other public comments? Yes, sir.
Hello, Eric Tenbrook, Montgomery, Lean, West Goshen. I've been a resident here for 25 years, and I would have to say this is the first time that I'm concerned about the safety of my family. With the recent events, starting with the shootout at the Wawa. We had a home invasion on our street. We've always been dealing with breaking of automobiles, but that seems to be nonviolent. It picks up during the holiday season. It's a nuisance, but when people are breaking into homes, that's a very dangerous proposition. We've also had a very aggressive season of door-to-door solicitations of people refusing to get the message that people don't want to be heard a pitch, and they continue to pound on our doors. We have speeding through our neighborhoods. We have in our park between West Market or East Market, West Market and Gay, we have cut-throughs to cut out lights and put all of us at risk. And I'm concerned, of course, the detective has a right to defend himself. These are only allegations. But I'm concerned about his caseload and all the matters that are so important to investigate, how that's going to be distributed and addressed. And I'm calling or asking for increased patrols. I not only live here, I also have a business in West Goshen, and I hate to say it, I rarely see patrol people. Thank you for your time, and thank you for listening to my comments.
Thank you for your comments. Can you repeat again where you live, or your neighborhood?
426 Monterey Lane. It's the Idlewild development off of New Street.
I just want to add one thing. Have you been going to the quarterly police meetings regarding the traffic? We have them quarterly. I would suggest that you voice your opinion there.
Okay, yeah.
It should be on the website as far as the dates that they are occurring. And
Okay.
we do have our traffic officers that run the meeting, and they welcome your comments, and they look into it, they investigate it, and they'll get back to you.
Okay, I
They're very
appreciate
efficient.
that. So,
Yeah.
so I
You
just-
don't even have to wait for the quarterly meetings. You can contact, our Sergeant Grisler
Sergeant
now
Grisler now.
and let him know of your concerns, specific concerns in your neighborhood. He's the head of the traffic division, and they will address it. They are very responsive.
Yeah, they're very efficient, very responsive. You can address it, and then maybe he'll get back to you sooner, or you can also attend the meetings, and you can hear what other problems are in the area as far as traffic and...
Right, well, what I've noticed, I mean, in the changing times, and we can't profile people, but a lot of Delaware plates, a lot of New York plates, and what I do notice is these visitors don't have the best driving habits, and they cut through, and that's a way, I guess, to address some of this.
So the next Traffic Safety Committee meeting is 1 week from today, December 10th at 7 p.m. I believe it's in conference room. I believe they're held in conference room A, but
Yes,
I
they
might be
are.
mistaken.
Yes, they are held there.
And as Mr. Hellman and Ms. Smith stated, we do have our sergeant from the Traffic Safety Division who attends those, as well as other officers from the department. And I would also recommend, in addition to what the board said, any concerns bring to the attention of our chief of police.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Having said that, we do hear your concerns, and
I'm sorry.
I said, having said that, we do hear your concerns, and we'll definitely take that into consideration,
Thank you.
patrol-wise, yes.
Sir, can I get the spelling of your last name for the record?
It's T-E-N
T-E-N.
B-R-O-E-C-K, and it's Eric.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any more public comment for tonight? Okay, hearing none, we're going to move on to item number 4, which is the discussion and possible approval of a request from Westchester University for an exemption to the township's noise ordinance under section 52A-5.1 for the Ramboree on May 2nd, 2025. I think we have some representatives here tonight from Westchester University.
Madam Chair, before the Board of Supervisors is the request from Westchester University. Clayton Cobb, the Director of Sykes Union and Students Activity, is before the board this evening in order to discuss this event. Under section 52A-5I of the township's noise ordinance, public celebrations specifically authorized by the township are exempt from the requirements. Just to give a brief summary, the noise levels under the ordinance are generally cut off at 9 p.m. However, the university for this event is seeking to extend to 10 p.m., so 1 hour from the normal cutoff. I did provide a request email from Mr. Cobb for the board for their review.
So 1 additional hour?
Yes.
Okay. Does the board have any questions or concerns about?
Where is the event actually held?
Yep. The event is held behind the Site Student Union, which is that Ram Park area, so Rosedale, Norfolk, and Roslyn.
Yeah, Rob.
No, Roslyn is one over from there.
Yeah, Rob.
So it's,
Oh, behind sites.
correct,
Yeah.
yeah. There's a field there. We, for the event, just for some context, we will have mostly just a DJ and sound amplified towards campus, not towards the neighborhood. We work really closely with those neighbors there to kind of avoid some of that interaction. And it's an end culmination event for the students.
How many years has it been happening?
This will be the 5th year. And this is the first year we've extended it to this late to kind of reduce some of our impact of our students heading downtown. We're trying to create more late night events to kind of keep them on campus and out of some of the establishments after hours.
And the event will probably end at 10 p.m.?
Yeah, the event ends at 10 p.m. We'll have some amusement rides like we did last year, and those will shut down. Last year we ended at 7, and as soon as we shut the rides off, the students are gone. So,
Have you questioned any of the neighbors around there for the extra hour to see what their,
we have not.
okay, so you don't know what their input would be, whether they,
Yep, sorry. Kimmy, this is Kimmy Farrer. She also works with me as a coach here for the event. We do invite them. We reach out to them, usually invite them to the event as well, so it's not closed off just to students, so they do usually attend as well. But we have not specifically reached out to them about the extra
okay,
hour.
so this isn't about me, it's really about the residents
Yeah.
and what they feel. So I'd like to get some input on what they feel.
So but it goes till 9 most
Mhm.
years? It's been going to 9? like
No,
last year?
we've had it to 8 before, to 9 before. We usually fall within that time limit to make sure that we're not doing any amplified sound in that area after 9 p.m.
And you always have a DJ and you always have music?
Yeah, there's been bands in the past, there's been large-scale platforms with bands, but we're trying to reduce, we want to focus on the carnival and not like a concert, so it's
And do the
like,
neighbors ever give you any pushback when it falls
No.
within that time frame? No, you haven't had any complaints?
no, they usually attend all events that we have on Ram Park when there's homecoming or this event.
Okay.
So past years, it always ended at 9.
Last year's event was over earlier than that, but in the past, yeah, we've had events to that time.
Okay, so I don't understand, I guess, the concept between 9 and 10, of what that extra hour is going to give you.
Yeah, so we're,
For-
sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we're just trying to extend the event so that more of our students can attend, those especially that are doing student teaching or off campus or commuters, so they can find their way to campus, so that we can have that. And also, the later we can do events on campus deters our students from being in the bars and having drinking hours, and that's always a good mitigation to end of year celebrations.
Okay, so you don't think they're going to go to the bars at 10 o'clock at night?
Oh,
They won't go to the bar.
I can't control, yeah, I mean, that's the
Okay.
age-old question with any type of programming on a college campus, is we try to defer as much as possible. If I talk to some of my conduct folks, they would like us to have the event till 1 in the morning. That's not an ability, something we can do, so we're trying to meet in the middle.
Is there a rain date?
There is not. If we have a rain event, we will move to different venues inside on campus, and we restrict the rides, so we just kind of condense the event to what we have.
Are you trying to have more rides this year than you've ever had before, or is this rides is new, completely new?
Yeah, we've had some, last year was our first year with the rides. We had a Ferris wheel and 2 amusement rides. We're going to add one more feature ride. It's more of like a fun house versus an actual mechanical ride, but yeah.
How many people do you anticipate being there? And are you coordinating with the Westchester Police Department for crowd control?
Yeah, we work with our public safety on campus, and then they help work with the borough as well as the local EMS, the Big Fellowship EMS, to kind of be there for emergency management, transportation. Last year, we estimated, based on our check-in process, there were around 3,200 in attendance throughout the 4 hours of the event.
I mean, I will personally say I don't see an issue extending it for an hour this year. We'll see how it goes, but it sounds like the neighbors
We can also, if it's helpful, at 9 o'clock, maybe turn the volume down a little bit, so there's still some of the environment, but it's not as loud, just to kind
Yeah.
of compensate for that, if that's helpful.
That would be helpful, yeah.
Do we have to pass a resolution here or something? I think
Just a board vote.
just a consensus.
Yeah, just a motion and a second.
Somebody would make a motion then to allow them to hold this Ramboree until 10 o'clock and waive the noise
So moved.
ordinance. Is
Second.
there any public comment on the motion on the floor?
I agree.
Yes?
My name's John Ivins. I live at 16 West Rosedale. Nobody's ever asked us how we feel about it. I'm glad to know it's going to happen so I can get prepared for it.
Yeah, we can make sure this year that we do a better job canvassing the area, providing some documentation.
Have you seen this event like last year and years past? No?
No.
You weren't even aware that it was going on back there?
We heard it.
You heard it? Okay.
Can the residents participate in it?
Yes.
You're welcome to come, John.
It's nice to know. Never was invited before.
May I offer,
Dr. White, did you have a question?
I just said I'm in agreement with your decision.
Okay. Yes.
I was going to offer this to make it easy and it almost takes the load off for you. I just petitioned, whatever, pick a radius, 500 feet around it, tell everybody, have something that says, hey, do you mind if we do this with a signed petition with the understanding, come and join us. We give you free, whatever it is, free. And I suspect you'll probably get 100% or 90% of the people signing it. Then you're exonerated, that you make some good neighbors and give away a couple of freebies.
Sure.
Give away a hat or a t-shirt or something like that. I don't know whatever you guys do. 'Cause I did.
A lot of giveaways, yes.
Any other comments? No? Okay, hearing none, then all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries 5-0. Thank you for
Thank
being
you so
here.
much.
and
Thank you for
enjoying
having us.
Yes. Okay, here, moving on to item number 5, which is a discussion and possible awarding of bids for the Government Services Center Basin Retrofit Project. Mr. Bayshore, did you want to introduce this, please?
Yes, Madam Chair. So before the board this evening is consideration to award the bid for the Government Services Center Basin Retrofit Project outlined in the Township Pollution Reduction Plan. This project is budgeted in the American Rescue Plan Fund. Bids were opened on November 20th, 2024, and there were 11 bids received for the project. The bids range from $344,613.53 to $1,561,242. The low bidder is SLC Excavating LLC from Quarryville, PA, in the amount of $344,613.53. Christopher Peterson from Carroll Engineering provided a recommendation letter to the board where he recommended awarding in the amount of the bid, and in addition, we provided the reference information that Carroll Engineering's office collected.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And we're required, I guess, to accept the lowest bid in situations like this. Is that right?
Lowest responsible bid. So that's a defined term in case law that if it's the lowest numerical bid, but you do reference checks and find out that this company has had some issues and has not been able to complete projects, et cetera, then they're not considered a responsible bidder.
And it's my understanding that this company, and Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, formed from 2 other companies, and you have a
No,
previous...
2 companies merged.
2 companies merged.
One company bought out an excavation company, and the company was bought out. The principals of that company didn't apparently agree with the direction and split off to form their own.
Okay. And you worked with one of those companies before,
I
correct?
worked with the one that was bought out before, yes.
And,
Which is where these guys knew where this came from.
and they were good to work with?
Yes.
So Carroll Engineering looked into it and they are a responsible bidder.
Yes. Based on the information that Chris provided, yes.
Okay. Any questions from the board or comment?
Yeah, look, as far as the plantings and the trees that are going to be put into the basin when it's all done, there's supposed to be a maintenance service that's accompanies this bid as well. And that's for, what, 2 years? Is that correct?
1 year.
It's just for 1 year? So what is the warranty for these plantings and the trees that they're going to be installing as part of this project? Do they have to, 1 year, so if they don't survive the year, then they have to replant?
Our typical bid documents are 1 year, but I can confirm that, Chris. His typical warranty is 1 year.
have a question related to the range of bids. So it's quite a range we received on the project here. So there was 11 bidders in total.
Yes.
And I believe the estimate from Carroll Engineering was in the order of about $500,000 for the project construction phase.
Yes.
So this is lower than that. Obviously, there's a grouping of bids that were around that number, and there are a few outliers. They continue to grow with a significant number of outliers towards the top end. Based on Chris Peterson's review of the information provided and the cost in the low bid, is he comfortable that the project can be completed for the amount bid, and that the oversight that they will provide on behalf of the township will ensure that the quality of work is satisfactory to accomplish the goals of the project?
In speaking with Chris, he believes he's going to have to increase his inspection requirements just to make sure that everything is done according to plan. And he is preparing a proposal for that oversight.
Okay, in what sense is he increasing the inspection?
He just wants to make sure that everything is done according to plan and appropriately, particularly since we've never worked with this company before.
So you're talking about an on-site inspector visiting every day to see progress, or twice a week, or what's the kind of range of oversight he's proposing?
I don't believe it's daily, but it's a bit more frequent than we normally do.
Okay, so we'll see a proposal from him on that?
Yes, at the meeting on December 17th.
Okay.
But I'll tell you, he's waiting for, they're going to use a landscape architect to inspect the landscaping that's being installed, and he's waiting for cost information from their landscape architect.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board? Does somebody want to make a motion then to award the bid to SLC Excavating LLC in the amount of $344,613.53?
So moved.
I'll second. Thank you. Is there any public comment on this motion? Yes, Mr. Baldwin.
I just have one question.
I'm
sorry.
That's fine.
Was looking at the bids,
So this is a question for Brian. Brian, when I looked at the plans a month ago or whatever, fine print says those underground piping systems, I think, need to be flushed out monthly. Do you recall that?
I don't recall the,
I think that's what jumped off the page, the word monthly. So my point is, this is fine, this is under budget, this is AFP money, right? But I think the township is on the hook for maintaining this pretty sophisticated basin. It's not just Gabion dams, right? This is underground, this is compaction, this is landscaping. And is that all in the budget? The additional cost for maintaining the Chester County Services Building storm basin, is that in our budget moving forward? And it appears to me that we probably don't service our own basins on a monthly basis. And again, I'd like to bring that to your attention, if you don't mind. And I would say it has to be worked into the budget. We still have a couple of weeks.
So Mr. Polakowski, I mean, how much maintenance does something like this require?
Well, I don't know, how much water? I mean, are we talking like a swimming pool worth of water that has to flush out these underground pipes? Where does the water go? Where does the sediment go? So it seemed to me that that was a pretty difficult task. And forgive me if I just made that up. Forgive me. I thought I read that as a specific note for maintaining it. All right, thank you.
It's shared with the county.
the county reimburses us 50% of
It's
the cost.
50% shared.
So the county will reimburse us 50% of the cost to maintain the basin.
That's under the maintenance agreement.
I'm sorry, could you speak out?
He said that the county reimburses us 50% of the cost to maintain the basin.
That was in the agreement that the board approved a few months ago.
And just for the record, how much of a pollution reduction credit are we going to get for this? Ryan, do you know? Okay.
I don't have it offhand, I have to look it up.
All right, okay. The point is, we're going to be getting a credit from the Department of Environmental Protection because we're doing this project, correct? Which we have to do.
Yeah, this is in our pollutant reduction plan, which is part of the MS4. So this will count towards our $390,000 pound plus requirement of sediment reduction. This will conflict with that.
And if we don't do projects like this, we are subjected to being audited and possibly being fined by the Department of Environmental Protection. Is that correct?
Yes, we could be audited, we could be fined.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Was there another question?
Yeah, just a question and observations, not criticism at all. Having bid on municipal jobs, when I see a range like this, I always like the unit prices, because like, what's the difference? How can somebody do this for this price and this price? So, Brian, to you, have they, or whoever qualified the bid, have they provided schedule, means and methods? I don't know if there's liquidated damages or prevailing wage or whatnot, but I'm looking like the unit costs, between the bids. And, for something of a given thing, like a tree's a tree, I get it. But you see some of the unit costs there, well, some are like quadruple that of others. So when I see bids of that range, it always concerns me that you're obligated, lowest qualified bid, and then you get into it and find out that.
This is a prevailing wage job.
There's a prevailing wage job,
This is
so
a prevailing
that
wage job.
normalizes everything.
Yes, so that normalizes the wages. And you just come down to where the contractor, how they interpreted the plan and the bid specs, and how they determine their unit costs. And we hold them to those unit costs, and we hold them to that price, because that's what they signed and submitted with the bid bond.
Okay.
And to your comment about liquidated damages, that would all be included in the contract, as well as, the rates or anything like that. And they have to submit certified payrolls to us as well.
So your question about the schedule, that has not been, the schedule was established as part of what they had to bid against for the time frame.
Right.
But the exact schedule of the project for the contractor, that is discussed when we have there is a process. Tonight, when the board authorizes it, then they get the letter of authorization, and they have to provide us with the material in so many days back to Carroll Engineering to confirm that all the information they submitted is correct for the bid. And then we move forward, we say we issue notice to proceed at the pre-construction meeting. All that's not scheduled until all the paperwork and the contract is back.
So if you find something that seems amiss or undesirable.
Carroll Engineering runs all that.
Oh, Carroll.
Carroll does all that.
Okay, that's fine. They may say, you know what, maybe they're not the lowest qualified after all.
And
Fair enough, because I've seen some of these things blow up on municipalities. Okay, thank you.
And Mr. Goldman, your comment about maintenance, our inspection schedule on the plan is annually for the first 5 years. And then it's once every 3 years thereafter is the inspection schedule. So I don't know where, I'm looking at it on the plan, I'm not sure what you saw or where you saw that, what you asked about earlier for maintenance, for the piping.
Okay, I thought it was fine print, but Brian, let me take another look at those drawings again, and I'll
Yeah,
let
and
you know.
you may be looking
one
at
way or the
that,
other.
you may be not, I don't know if the bid set was put up or not. I don't
It was
know.
on pen bid, it wasn't.
It was, yeah, the bid set's up on pen, but we didn't put the actual set that they bid on. You looked at a preliminary progress set probably. It was put in the packet a couple weeks ago.
Okay. Yes, Ms. White.
Non-engineer, I just think this is an example of government waste. I mean, it's $350,000 to retrofit a basin that is operating just fine. That basin is still a couple hundred yards from the small creek that eventually goes into Goose Creek. We get 44 on average inches of rain a year, pretty much even throughout the year, 2 to 4 inches. We're spending $350,000 for, I don't get it. You know, it's just, have you been over there and looked at it to see what we're spending $350,000 on? And I even think the DEP, if you went to them and said, we have this project, they didn't mean for townships to spend this kind of money on these PRP plans. And again, you're doing something based on a model. So we don't even know that sediment or silt is making its way into Goose Creek. It's being filtered through the natural plantings that are already in the bottom of that basin. And as I've done with the other basins over the years, I have pictures before, during, and after, and I'll be here in another couple of years and say, we spent $350,000 and it's not any better. I just hate to see $350,000 spent on this.
Appreciate your comments.
Excuse me, John, to answer your question, this basin as designed, is projected to remove 17,815 pounds of sediment a year. That's the current calculation based on design. Once it's completed, there's a certification that's done to prove, based upon the design, how much we get.
Thank you.
Say that again, how many?
17,815 pounds of sediment a year is projected to remove.
Based off the model.
Based off the way the basin is designed, yes.
So you have to validate that for the DEP or no?
Yeah, yes, there's a final report prepared with the as-built when it's done, that's submitted to DEP to document, as part of our annual report, to document how much it actually is.
Yes, sir, you have a question or
Real
comment?
quick, how long is this project going to last?
I believe it's a 120-day contract, and then there's a year maintenance on it.
Your name, sir?
Sam Freeman, Green Hill Avenue.
Any other questions on this motion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries 5-0. Moving on to item number 6, which is the possible approval of the 2025 meeting schedule for the Board of Supervisors.
Madam Chair, I've outlined the 2025 potential meeting schedule for the board. Currently, the board holds meetings on the first and third Tuesday of each month at 6 p.m. The dates, all the dates according to that schedule are outlined in the memo that was provided in this evening's packet. I did review this against holidays and other events. Based on this review, I'm recommending a few modifications. I'm recommending moving the first meeting in May to Thursday, May 1st due to the annual PSATS conference. I'm recommending moving the second meeting in May to Wednesday, May 21st due to the primary election day, and the first meeting in November from November 4th to November 6th due to election day, as the township building serves as a polling location.
Right, okay, thank you very much. Does the board have any questions or comments on that? Are we comfortable with those changes?
Just ask you a question, for the Tuesday, May 20th, meeting moving into the Wednesday, the next day, any reason why we couldn't do it that Thursday, to the May 22nd? Because that's what we're doing for, the general election day. We're going from Tuesday, November 4th to Thursday, November 6th.
I believe that conflicts with the historical commission meeting schedule.
Is that
for
what
that
you're
night.
saying? Okay, so something else is scheduled.
Yes, let me just verify that. real quick.
Usually the sewer authority meeting on the 5th. Sewer authority will be the meeting on the, oh, I'm sorry, it was a long day.
Yeah, we're coming to.
You're talking about the primary.
Talking about May,
Yeah, this
yeah.
should be the primary.
And I did check, Mr. Walsh, I did check with Mike Cacovo about, because he handles the setup for the election day, and he didn't think that that would be an issue with the sewer authority getting everything out of here that night. Yes, the historic commission is scheduled to meet on May 22nd, so that would conflict with them.
Okay.
So then is there a motion to approve the Board of Supervisors meeting schedule for 2025?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
One second.
Thank you. Are there any public comments on the motion? Yes, Dr. White.
So there's no conflict with any holidays, Chris, you checked?
I checked all the holidays.
All right, if there's no other comments, then we'll take a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries 5-0.
So Madam Chair, I will run the ad for the meeting schedule before the end of the year.
Okay, great. Moving on to item number 7, which is the possible awarding of the multi-municipal bid for roadway de-icing salt. Mr. Bayshore.
Madam Chair, before the board this evening is ratification of the multi-municipal bid for roadway de-icing salt. This is something handled by Township each year on behalf of the participant municipalities, which are West Goshen Township, East Goshen Township, and Westtown Township. The low bidder is Eastern Salt Company in the amount of $65 per ton. I provided the bid tabulations that were received, and this price represents a 1.4% price decrease per ton compared to the previous bid. I spoke with Mark Barlami, the Township Street Superintendent, and he anticipates that he would purchase around 500 tons, but he does estimate that we currently have about 1,600 to 1,700 tons on site. Additionally, as with last year, Mark is not going to do a natural de-icing bid, that's the beet juice bid, because we are at full capacity plus additional toters, and he doesn't feel that a bid for natural de-icing liquid is needed. because it requires a minimum purchase of 4,500 gallons. So we're at full capacity on that. So again, this is just ratification of the bid that was already awarded by Goshen Township.
Great. Any questions from the board?
And then just the 1.4% is 90 cents per ton compared to last year.
Okay. Does somebody want to make a motion then to approve, I guess, the awarding of ratifying?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, thank you. Are there any public comments on this motion? Yes, Ms. Ward.
I just want to point out that, and I know we've discussed it at previous meetings, but this salt is much worse on our streams and the environment than natural.
I agree with you 100%.
So, I mean, is there anything we can trade off with the DEP that somehow show that maybe we're reducing salt usage a little bit? I know we have to keep the roads safe, but we have a private company in our neighborhood, and you can't imagine the amount of salt that they spread. Yeah.
No, it's a problem. It is a problem. I don't know the answer to that question as far as how it pertains to like our pollution reduction program, but it is a problem. And it's something that we've discussed before. I don't know if there's other alternatives. I know that we try to take advantage of the beet juice. We have enough, it looks like. We've even had, I think, somebody come in and make a presentation
That was
about
at the COG meeting last year.
Yeah.
One of the COG meetings.
about this exact issue.
And the most viable alternative, and Brian believes, correct me if I'm wrong, is to use cinders or some kind of grit material. It doesn't melt the snow, but it gains traction, but you would also have to then vacuum out your stormwater.
Yeah, the issue with using grit is that it ends up in the stormwater system, and that's what we have to continue to state. The FDMS4 doesn't want that. That's what the whole MS4 program is to get rid of, is that level of, is that being in our stormwater system. Unfortunately, right now, with the way the DEP looks, and I have their BMP chart up here on my screen, unfortunately I can't share it tonight because the system's not working, but they don't list anything in their chart that we can use currently. Now, they're going through a whole process where they're changing how they look at the MS4, they're changing how they look at the PRP. They just don't know when that's going to happen. For example, the BMP manual, it was issued in 2006. They've been working on revising it since, and they haven't finished it yet. So, I can't tell you that they're hoping to have it issued in 2025. So it would be 19 years after the first one was issued in 2006, they would issue a new manual. But I've sat through a short presentation by DEP saying that they're going to go more on a structural and a numbers-based method than on the percentages, what they're doing now. But any BMP in the ground that's currently built or built before they change, they're going to have to figure out a way where you can retroactively calculate so it goes against the new method. So they're changing everything, they just don't know when it's going to change. So until they bring out the new information, we have to go by what our permit states and what our PRP states. And right now it's 390,000 pounds. And there's nothing in the PRP manual or any information about if you use something different than salt or reduce your salt, it gives you no value towards the. It's good for the environment, yes, but it doesn't give you any value. And right now there isn't a good alternative that works. And if we start putting more and more grit on our roads, we're going to have to spend more and more time sweeping and vacuuming out stormwater systems, and also potentially having systems fail prior to being vacuumed out in the spring.
Thanks, Brian. Yes, Mr. Bowling.
Is there a right amount to put on roads? And as an example, Falcon Lane has nice stripes down the road. Eagle Road is painted white with salt.
I don't know if there's a correct amount, but I mean, I know Mark and his team calibrate our salt spreaders. So they were testing the equipment on Wednesday, I think, before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, they would tell, yeah, so.
Okay.
It's a good question. I don't know the answer to that question. I can look into it. Any other questions or comments? No? Okay. Then all in favor of ratifying this bid, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries 5-0. Moving on to item number 8, which is the discussion and possible approval of West Goshen Township's participation in the CDL random drug testing program through the PA State Association of Township Supervisors. Mr. Bayshore.
Madam Chair, before the board this evening is authorization to participate in the CDL random drug testing program through PSATs. As a member organization, West Goshen Township is eligible to participate in this program. Currently, the township's CDL employees participate in quarterly random drug and alcohol testing as required by federal law and is additionally codified in the township's non-uniform personnel policy. Currently, we use a vendor company called Work Safely Mobile Testing. Mark Bertolami, our street superintendent, has been reviewing other options and believes that this is a better option for the township. So this is essentially a change in vendor, and there's an agreement that's required with PSATs. There's a local facility that's in network with PSAT's program next that they would utilize.
Sorry, so wait, what is the main reason that this is a better vendor?
Mark, through his research, believes it would professionalize the process, and we currently pay a company 67 cents a mile to come down from the Poconos, and this would make it more local.
This is in Exton, you said?
In Exton, yes. There's a facility in Exton and one in King of Prussia as well, but we would use the Exton facility.
Okay.
There's also a new, I believe there's a new one that might be opening, but I'm not sure if they're in network with the program. Close, like actually in the township.
Oh, wow, okay.
But yes, Mark's been working on this for the past couple of months.
All right.
Is there any change to the actual frequency of an individual doing the drug testing? Is it just a quarterly random drug and alcohol test?
So we submit a list of all our employees who have CDLs, and then they're just randomly pulled. So they're just pulled, they're in a pool and they're pulled at random.
How many per quarter?
I don't remember how many we did last quarter, but it may be like 5 or 6 per quarter.
Would everybody be done like on an annual basis?
It's just how they get, it's random, it's completely random, it's just who gets pulled, you don't want them to know.
So one person could be tested 5 times and one person would not be tested at all.
Yep, it's completely random. It's designed so that you don't know.
Does somebody want to make a motion?
I'll
Approve
make a
this
motion.
change?
I'll second the
If
motion.
everybody's comfortable with the change, I think that it sounds like we are.
I second the motion.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on this motion?
Just a quick question, just for more knowledge and anything else. How long it's been going on, and roughly how many people have tested it? Has anyone failed?
I'm not going to speak to specific employees and answer.
No, I don't want specific. I just have people that failed.
During my tenure, 1.
Okay, fair enough. Your tenure's
what was your other question? I apologize.
well, just roughly how many tests have been done over the past couple of years? Well,
I mean, they're done every quarter. So
Do you know how long we've been implementing drug testing?
Oh,
This is a
since,
state law.
that's a
Right.
federal.
Yeah, as long as it's
Since
CDL.
that law went into place in 1991.
Right.
So at least since 91.
Well, just curious. I didn't want to.
All right, thank you. Any other questions on this motion? Hearing none, then all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries 5-0. Moving on to item number 9, which is the approval of the Board of Supervisors meeting minutes from November 7th, 2024. Does the board or anyone on the board have any major changes to the meeting minutes that you feel you need to announce today?
I just have one, on page 1, the very last paragraph there, just add a sentence to the effect stating that, he also stated that no residential properties abut the property, because I had asked that question, and he did respond.
Okay.
So, you don't need me to send an email on that, you got that?
No.
Okay.
Has to go anywhere.
That's all I have.
Any other adjustments to the meeting minutes from board members? Somebody want to make a motion then to approve the
I'll make
minutes?
that motion.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Is there any public comment on the meeting minutes from November 7th? Yes, Mr. Goldberg.
I believe this is the meeting that Sal was referring to. So one additional point. The budget watchdogs serve no purpose if they come in with fabricated information that is not part of the township's data. So what we did is we produced a spreadsheet which gave a better look, I'd say, at many years and the trends, and that was our only intention. We took a shot at how to interpret some of the things in the forecasts, and we sent it to the township, and Mr. Bayshore apparently spent a significant amount of time, and he went over this, and just as Ms. Smith said, hey, some things you aren't considering when we forecast a $5 million increase, it actually got down to maybe $2 million, maybe even less than $2 million after we incorporated Mr. Bayshore's comments. We included them all. So I just wanted to be clear. We're not politicizing math to some end. We are giving the public a better look, a comprehensive look, a clear look, and an opportunity to participate in the budget reviews. So I want to thank Mr. Bayshore. I know that took a lot of time. We appreciated it, and we truly do feel Ms. Riley is a genuine asset to any township, and we're glad we have her. Thank you.
First of all, her last name is Riffy.
Oh, sorry.
Second of all, the credit really, Christine did a lot of that work. We did that together. So I want to make sure Christine gets the credit that she deserves.
Thank you. Thank you for your comment. Are there any other comments on the meeting minutes from November 7th? Okay, hearing none, then all in favor of approval, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries 5-0. And finally, item number 10, which is approval of the bills to be paid for the general fund, the sewer revenue fund, the waste and recycling fund, and the capital reserve fund. Does the board have any questions or comments on the bills to be paid?
One question. There's a $40 per star for mailing. Do we still, it says it's for the 2024 township newsletter. Do we still have a newsletter out?
Yes. We do a monthly e-newsletter and a quarterly print out.
Only for ones that requested it?
I believe it goes out to, I think there's like 113 that go out.
Yeah, it's only $40 that I did.
It's not much, yeah. And then we get extra copies that we put here at the township building.
Okay, thank you.
Somebody want to make a motion then to approve the bills?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on this motion? No? Okay, hearing none. All in favor of approval, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries 5-0. Somebody like to make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor of adjournment, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Hearing none. Good night, everybody. Thank you for coming out. It's a quick one.
And then I just need a quick executive session with the board.
You want to go in the conference room?
Yeah, sure. You guys can sign stuff. There are 2 things.